everyone, this is Priya Vashni and I welcome you all to the new session. So in the previous video, we had very elaborately covered the Plato's theory of justice, right? So what we are going to do in this video is the most important statement of Plato's theory of justice is the statement state is individual writ large. So in this video, we are going to try to answer this question. See, what happens is UPSC usually ask these statement based questions like state is individual at large, comment or discuss, right? Or elaborate. So, this is how UPSC asks the question. So, in this video, we will try to answer this question, right? So, in case you don't have clarity for the statement, I have very lucidly explained this statement in my previous video. You can refer that. Okay. So, as I have also discussed in our previous video, that is in Socrates, that how to answer a question, how to answer statement based questions. So this is basically, you can say, uh, um, a structure of the answer, right? So first of all, you need to give the introduction. Then you actually mentions the context in which the statement has been given. Third, you explain that statement or theory as explained by the thinker. And then you actually critically examine that statement or the theory. And at last, you actually give the conclusion in which you usually link one is this given statement with other theories and all, right? Okay, so let us start. So, as I said, that first of all we need to give the introduction, right? So, what you will write in this? So, first of all, you will write that this statement has been taken from Plato's theory of justice because in introduction we usually mention that from which theory this statement belongs to. So you will write that above statement is from Plato's theory of justice, right? And you also gives and you will you also need to mention that what is the core of this theory, right? Where he shows that principles of justice found at the level of state and individual do not differ from each other, right? That is what it means, that state is nothing but an individual writ large. So state is nothing but an individual writ large. So if this is an individual, this can be the state, right? So you will write that this statement has been taken from Plato's theory of justice, where he shows that the principles of justice, that the principles of justice at level of state and individual do not differ from each other. ठीक है? Is it clear? Next you need to write the context, right? So how do we write the context? We actually mentions that how or what is the context in which this statement has been given. So how will we write this? That the statement emerges in the context while deriving the principles of justice, right? How he actually written this statement while he was deriving the principles of justice, right? So this statement emerges in the context while Plato is deriving his principles of justice. Now, why he was trying to derive the principles of justice? Because he wants to make Athens an ideal state, right? He wants to make Athens an ideal state. So then, but and for to make Athens an ideal state, it has to be based on the idea of justice, right? That is the perfect idea of justice or the God's idea of justice. Therefore, he requires the perfect idea of justice, right? Now, in order to understand the perfect idea of justice, we have actually mentioned the context, right? Now, we are actually explaining it in terms of Plato. So, how he actually gives the concept of just soul, right? So Plato explains the idea of just soul. Just soul is one in which reason dominates over the other key characteristics, that is the courage and the appetite. So such souls are just because they can live in peace and harmony with each other, right? With others. So only such persons are capable to lead a life of virtue. Can lead Are capable to lead a life of virtue, right? All this we had discussed in our previous video. So if you have not seen that, then I'll request you to please first visit to that video, understand the concept of justice, then you will understand this, right? Because in this video we are just trying to answer this question, nothing else. Okay, so then, since Plato believes, now again, so what happens is, what was the context? The statement emerges in the context while deriving the principles of justice. So basically, Plato wants to make Athens an ideal state. In order to make it an ideal state, he needs the idea of justice, but not the imperfect idea. He needs the perfect idea of justice, which is basically the God's idea of justice. And in order to understand that idea of justice, he gives the concept of just soul, right? Now, how Plato explains the idea of just soul? Plato explains the idea of just soul, that just soul is one in which reason dominates over the other, over courage and appetite. So this is being called as just soul because such souls are capable to live in peace and harmony with others. So only such person who can live in peace and harmony with others are capable of leading a life of virtue, right? Is it clear? Now coming back to the statement, so we have actually set the context. Now we are trying to explain the Plato's statement. Now what Plato believes, right? What Plato believes is that state is a bigger form of individual. This is what has been given in the statement, that state is individual writ large. So Plato believes that, I'll just go to the next slide. So Plato believes that state is the individual, bigger form of individual, bigger form of individual, right? So so he recommends that the principles of justice found at the level of individual can also be applied to the level of the state. This is very much clear, right? So the relationship between individual and state, what he says is just like small letter and the big letter, like this. For example, we say A and capital E. So what he says is the relationship between state and individual is like this only, right? So hence just state is where each perform. Now he's coming to his main point. See how he has defined the justice at the form of individual, that he actually mentions the concept of natural inequality. He says that a person should do what he is naturally suited to do. For example, man of gold, since they have reason, therefore they should be involved in rules making. The persons or the man of silver who have courage, they should be involved uh, in the security of the state or of the security purposes. The persons who are man of copper, they should be involved in the task of production, right? That this is what he has said. So when he is applying this concept to the state level, what he says is, therefore what will be the justice state? What will be the justice state? Justice state is where each person performs the task, performs the task according to the spiritual qualities. Is it clear? According to the spiritual qualities of the soul. and not also, he also mentions about not interfering in each other task. So we, in the previous video, we actually read about two fundamental uh, uh, two fundamental laws of Plato's theory of justice. Number one, functional specialization. This is what it is. And second was not non-interference in the task of others, right? I'm repeating it, right? So we have read the context. Now we are actually trying to explain it. So since Plato believes that state is a bigger form of individual, he recommends the principles of justice found at the level of individual can be applied at the level of the state. He says that the relationship between individual and state is like small letter and the capital letter. Hence, the just state is where each person performs the task according to the spiritual qualities of the soul, not interfering in the task of others. Right? So, in a just state, what will happen? Reason will dominate over courage and appetite. Over courage and appetite. In the similar manner, like in a just man, reason dominates over courage and the appetite. Is it clear? Thus, for Plato, the principles governing life of an individual, that is ethics and principles governing the state, that is politics, cannot be different from each other. This is very important statement. What I am saying is that when we say that what is ethics, there are two terms, ethics and politics, right? What is ethics? Ethics basically means the principles governing life of individual, whereas politics is principles governing the state, right? So if Plato is saying that the relationship is just like small letter or capital letter, what Plato is saying is that the principles which are governing the life at individual level are same as the principles governing the state. This automatically implies that there is no separation between ethics and politics for the Plato, right? So according to Plato, politics cannot be different from politics and ethics cannot be different from each other, right? Now, so the idea of good life. So according to him, the idea of good life and good political life and good political life cannot be separated from each other, right? So what Plato wants to tell is that the nature of a state will be shaped by the character of the citizens living in the state. This is again a very important statement that nature of the state, according to Plato, nature of the state will be shaped by the character of the citizens living in that state, right? Hence he also suggests that state does not, this is a very beautiful statement, that state does not come out of oak or rock. It inheres in the mind of people living in the state. This is a very beautiful statement. Right? So what Plato says is, Plato wants to tell that nature of the state is basically shaped by the character of the citizens living in the state. Therefore, Plato also suggests that state does not come out of oak or rock, it inheres in the mind of people living in the state. Thus, for Plato, Athens, again, what I am trying to do is I am actually trying to connect with the context. So, according to Plato, or thus for Plato, Athens cannot become an ideal state or virtuous state until its citizens are virtuous. Cannot become a virtuous state unless hi- its citizens. So we have actually discussed it in our previous video that the ruling class was indulged in corruption, right? So Plato was basically trying to tell them that you are indulged in corruption because it is your ignorance that you think that the real happiness lies in money and power, right? While the real happiness lies in the knowledge, what he is trying to explain to them, right? Unless its citizens are virtuous. So, according to him, temperance, self-control is also a virtue. So, now what we are trying to do is we are trying to conclude. So, how will you conclude it? We will actually try to link it with some other persons or some other theory. So, for now, we are actually linking this with the Pandit Nehru. So, what Pandit Nehru said that who will survive if India dies? This actually this actually this actually meant that who will survive if India dies means ki basically the soul of India is the people or the citizens of India. So if they are not happy, then India cannot survive. This is what he tried to tell. Okay, so this is how we used to answer we have to answer the question, the statement like questions. First of all, we need to give the introduction, then we actually give the context, then we explain it as explained by the thinker, we then critically evaluate it if we can, and then we actually conclude it by linking it to some other great thinker or person's idea or with the other theories, right? Okay, so thanks a lot. That's all in this video. If you like this video, then please share and subscribe. Thanks a lot. See you in the next video. Bye bye.